With the divorce rate being over 40% and half of cohabiting relationships ending in the first year, yes, the first year, so even worse yet, only 10% make it to the 5-year mark in cohabiting relationships. It would make sense then that most people would not claim that they are in a satisfying and fulfilling relationship. Very few people would say, I'm in an amazing relationship. Yeah, it would make sense. I'm Tracy Hensel, certified professional coach and owner of Hensel Coaching and Consulting. Me and my team of coaches help people just like you, finding an area in your life that you are not fulfilled and satisfied in. Or maybe a goal you just can't achieve and you feel stuck. Well, we help you. We help you identify how you got there, but more importantly, how to get you over that hurdle or roadblock so that you can go from functional to optimal, whatever that looks like for you. Now, there are some relationships out there that are amazing. Did these people just get lucky? Well, it's not uncommon for someone to say that to you. Wow, boy, did you get lucky. But that person knows that this didn't come by luck. Just like parenting, relationships take work. They take work, yeah, a lot of work, just like parenting. The problem is we don't always expect that relationships should be a lot of work. And therefore, we aren't committed and intentional about putting the time in to make it work. Most people haven't identified what exactly it is they need to work on. They just know that they're not fulfilled and satisfied. But they just haven't identified why that is. Well, you have to understand that all relationships come with hurdles. Many. Throughout the course of a relationship, you and your partner or your spouse, you're going to have many hurdles. Why is it then that some can get over those hurdles no matter how significant the hurdle is, believe it or not, while others can't? And some of those that can't, the hurdles could be very insignificant, significant to them, but not as significant as some of the big roadblocks. What do those couples have that can get over these hurdles, that have a resilient relationship, that those that don't? What do they have? Well, I'm going to share with you today 4 simple yet fundamental best practices that couples that have hurdles, but they still thrive and survive and have a fulfilling and satisfying relationship, although they have the hurdles, what their best practices are, because that's exactly what it is. They have certain habits within their relationship, and I call these best practices. These sometimes were set up early on, and they cultivated those best practices throughout their relationship to protect it, to make their relationship resilient to those hurdles that they will encounter. All relationships have conflict, disagreements, arguments. No one comes free from that. But those that thrive and survive have 4 best practices that they implement, and I'm going to share those best practices with you today. But I'm also going to expand on those best practices in a few days. And if you want to find out more about that, about more information on these best practices, stay tuned till the end of this video and I'll share with you how you can learn more about these so that you can cultivate your relationship and connect with your partner. Oh, the hurdles that all couples encounter. It could be from buying your first home to having your first baby to raising a family, taking care of elderly parents. Sometimes a job move or relocation can come up, or maybe a promotion, which is going to require more time from one or the other, and they're going to have to reroute their energy somewhere else. With COVID and the pandemic and so many couples working from home, this has opened up a whole new dialogue and hurdle as well for many. This is very new. Some people are resilient and others are not. If you're not resilient to many areas and people and things in your life, it would make sense that everything could potentially trip you up. But again, those couples that implement the best practices somehow get over these hurdles, although they have them just like you. They didn't get lucky. They just put the work in. And you can too. So what are these best practices? Well, the first one is expectations, or more like unmet expectations. We all have expectations, and most often we expect people to be like us, think like us, and do things just like we do. So when they don't, our expectations go unmet. I thought he would do this. I thought she would do that. No, we don't want to think too much about that. So we really have to look at our expectations, and I will expand on this coming soon. The second one is poor conflict resolution, or no conflict resolution whatsoever. Couples that thrive and survive, they know how to resolve conflict. They set up parameters, boundaries early on in their relationship. They discuss this because they know that disagreements and arguments will show up. So what's our best practice when they do? For example, if you're in a relationship, let's say you're married, and either you or your partner throw out the word divorce, well, you just didn't establish a boundary that we never bring up that word. There are couples that use the word divorce in the middle of an argument. How does that happen? Well, that was never a boundary established. There are couples that curse and swear at one another in a heated argument because it was never set up early on that this is unacceptable and will not be tolerated. Me and my husband just recently celebrated our 29th wedding anniversary, and you better believe we've had some hurdles, some significant, many insignificant. We created a resilient marriage, but one of the things that we did early on is we set up boundaries and parameters of what would not be acceptable in this relationship during a conflict. Because when all is going well, we don't need that, right? When it's pie in the sky and we're having a great time, we don't need to have those boundaries and parameters. But boy, when it gets heated, when the match gets heated, war of words, that's a big one my husband always says, war of words. Cursing, swearing, name-calling, and using divorce was a non-negotiable. That will not happen, and it never has in all 29 years. Yeah. So conflict resolution, I'm going to expand on the best practices so that you and your partner can resolve conflict, because you're going to have it. Number 3, trust and respect issues. It's a big one. Couples that thrive and survive know how to trust themselves and trust their partner and respect one another. But when we go back to unmet expectations and we go back to poor conflict resolution, respect gets thrown out the window. Yeah. And trust. Trusting that if we've created these boundaries with conflict resolution, I trust that you're not going to break that boundary. You're not going to overstep that. That's trust. And there's so many areas that trust comes to play. What I share with you, I know is going to stay with you. You're not going to go share it with your mother, your father, your buddies, your girlfriends. I trust you. So many areas that we can go into. Let's talk about co-parenting. Let's talk about blended families. A lot of trust issues can take place there, and respect. And we will be touching on this very soon in a few days. Again, stay tuned until the end. But let's cover the fourth best practice. Such a big one. Poor communication. Yeah. Couples that thrive and survive, although they have hurdles, know how to communicate effectively. They understand they have one mouth and two ears, and they need to listen with intention, and they need to be careful what they hear. Because what someone says and what someone hears, two different things. And in respect and trust, we respect that our partner has a voice and should be able to express their concern. But we put up our defenses. So poor communication, we can go in so many areas, and we will. So the difference between the couples that thrive and survive and have an amazing relationship, although they have disagreements, they implement the best practices to make their relationship resilient to the hurdles, because the hurdles will come. Many of you can identify with what I'm sharing today. Are you implementing the best practices in your marriage or your committed relationship? If you're not, I invite you this Sunday, June 6th, to join me and my husband, Paul, for a couples workshop. How to create and cultivate connection with your partner. This is not just for married couples. This is for any committed relationship. We are going to expand on these best practices, and we're going to cover so many other areas in this workshop. Again, it's this Sunday, June 6th, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I know it's in the middle of the day, but I have an audience all over the world, and I get a lot of traffic from my international, so I tried to hit all time zones. You do not have to be present for the live workshop. If you can't make the live, you will still want to get registered, because the workshop will be recorded, and anyone who registered will receive the recording. So if you register for the workshop and you intend on coming and something comes up and you can't, no worries, you're going to get the recording. If you attend the workshop, great, you're still going to get the recording so you can reference back to it. Okay, me and my husband will be facilitating. For about an hour to an hour and a half, we will be facilitating, and we're going to save about 30 minutes to an hour for Q&A. I would expect the entire workshop to be 90 minutes to 2 hours. But we're going to be answering your questions. Your camera will not be on. You will be muted. You will only see me and my husband, Paul. We're going to share the best practices. We're going to cover many areas, and we're going to welcome space for you to share your questions and concerns that you have. I encourage you to come as a couple, because you're going to get more out of it that way. Often when we share a concern with our partner, they shut down or they get defensive. But when a non-biased person who doesn't know us personally shares something that really is a concern in our relationship, it's received much better. And we're also going to talk about that, how we receive our partner expressing concern to us. That's hard. It's hard. Yeah. So if you want to hear more about the best practices that I shared with you today, plus so many other best practices, we're going to hit on intimacy. We're going to hit on teamwork, which is a big one. Teamwork makes the dream work. I believe that. We'll hit on the blended family and so many other pivotal pillars of a successful and thriving relationship. In the description box below, there will be a link. Click on that link. It'll take you to an information page where you can learn more about the workshop. You can also register there. Again, if you can't attend the live, still register. You will receive the recording. Yeah, relationships take work. We have jobs, we have kids, we have elderly parents, we have bills to pay, and so many household responsibilities that we have to navigate through with this person. And we have all these expectations, right? Yeah. So again, this Sunday, June 6th, 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check out the description box below to get more information. And I look forward to sharing these best practices with you and hearing what concerns you have that you would like me and my husband, Paul, to address in the workshop. All right, we'll see you Sunday. Take care.